Nowhere to hide. Call of Duty style footage shows Ukrainian forces blasting Russian Z-tank as troops ambushed in Mariupol. Dramatic Call of Duty style footage shows the dramatic moment Ukrainian forces blast a Russian tank. Vladimir Putin's troops can be seen running for cover after the Russian tank with a distinctive Z marking on it is shelled. The shocking video, reportedly from the notorious far-right Azov Regiment in Ukraine, shows an amphibious BTR-4 fire on two Russian vehicles in Mariupol, southern Ukraine. A BTR-4 is a Ukrainian amphibious armored personnel carrier, first used in the previous Russia-Ukraine war in 2014. It comes equipped with a 30mm cannon as standard. The Russian vehicles struck in the latest video are reportedly a BTR-82A armored personnel carrier and AT-72B3 tank. In the video, taken from inside the BTR-4, the gunner follows the tracks of the Russian tank on camera, striking first the Russian armored personnel carrier concealed behind a wall of tires and boxes. Next, as Russian soldiers look around for the source of the attack, the tank is blasted repeatedly. The BTR-4's 30mm cannon is operated by remote control. A photoelectric camera system projects the outside image onto a screen inside the vehicle. All of the other aiming work is carried out by the computer, making the shooting reaction speed extremely fast. The gunner can also touch the screen to zoom in on the target area. Although the BTR-4 shouldn't be able to penetrate a tank's armor, it may be that the T-72B3's tracks, wheels, or sights were destroyed, causing the explosion seen in the video. Russia has seen heavy military losses since the start of the invasion on February 24. The Russian military has also been slammed for allegedly targeting civilian areas. On Sunday, a shocking picture emerged showing an unexploded Russian missile after crashing through a kitchen ceiling in Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv. Sharing the picture, Ukraine's government tweeted, "Imagine, it was Sunday morning, and you were sleeping with your kids," as it called again for NATO to impose a no-fly zone over the country. Russia continues to deny it is shelling any non-military targets. Putin's forces have been accused of opening fire on an old people's home, killing 56 people in eastern Ukraine. The alleged shocking incident took place on March 11 in the small city of Kremenna in Luhansk province, but only came to light on Sunday. Ukrainian authorities claim Russian troops also took 15 survivors hostage after shelling the care home. Today's video of a tank being targeted comes just days after another Russian tank was blown up, as caught on Ukrainian cameras. The footage was taken from a Ukrainian armored vehicle that came across its Russian foe in a village. Ukrainian forces catch sight of the Russian tank and open fire, then drive on to the next block. Suddenly they see another Russian tank right in front of them and immediately open fire, blasting the turret off. Other rounds fired soon obliterate the tank, which explodes in a hail of gunfire as Russian troops cower behind it. The footage follows that of an ambush by brave Ukrainians using lethal anti-tank missiles at the weekend. Footage of the successful counterattack, the latest of several caught on film in a matter of days amid Putin's crumbling invasion, shows a rocket make a direct hit. Posted online, the clip shows what appears to show one of the convoys being obliterated as Russian troops quickly scatter. At least one Russian tank and one armored personnel carrier seem to have been hit by the missiles, which were fired from behind trees. The Russian tank can be seen being hit and exploding into flames in the aerial strike. Drones allegedly obliterated Russian tanks and missiles as Ukrainians are heard cheering in the background. In the footage, a Russian vehicle carrying what looks to be missiles and a military tank are seen exploding into fireballs as Putin's invasion continues to crumble. Slovakia starts deploying Patriot air defense system. Prague, March 20. Reuters, the Patriot air defense system has started arriving in Slovakia from NATO partner countries and the deployment will continue in the coming days, Slovakia's defense minister said on Sunday. The system will be operated by German and Dutch troops, and will initially be deployed at the Slajak airport in central Slovakia to help reinforce the defense of NATO's eastern flank. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has prompted the alliance to bolster its defenses. The Patriot system will be part of a new NATO battle group in Slovakia, which neighbors Ukraine. I am happy to confirm that the first units in charge of deploying the Patriot air defense system are gradually arriving to Slovakia, Defense Minister Yaroslav Nad said on Facebook. Nad said the Patriot system will be a complement and not a replacement of the Soviet-era S-300 system that Slovakia operates. Temporarily, the system will be deployed at the Slajak Air Force Base. Further deployment areas are being consulted, so that the security umbrella covers the largest possible part of Slovak territory, Nad said. The minister said last week that Slovakia is willing to give the S-300 to Ukraine if, and when it gets a proper replacement. He reiterated on Sunday that Slovakia was looking for its own replacement of S-300 due to its age, capabilities, and dependence on Russia. Russia has warned against any shipments of advanced air defenses to Ukraine, and has warned it may target Western arms supplies.
The blockade of Mariupol will go down in history of responsibility for war crimes. To do this to a peaceful city, what the occupiers did to it is a terror that will be remembered for centuries to come. And the more Ukrainians tell the world about it, the more support we find. The more Russia uses terror against Ukraine, the worse the consequences will be for it.
Mariupol says thousands deported from besieged Ukrainian city. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia's siege of the port city of Mariupol was a terror that will be remembered for centuries to come, while local authorities said thousands of residents there had been taken by force across the border. Over the past week, several thousand Mariupol residents were deported onto the Russian territory, the city council said in a statement on its Telegram channel late on Saturday. Russian news agencies have said buses have carried several hundred people Moscow calls refugees from Mariupol to Russia in recent days. Many of Mariupol's 400,000 residents have been trapped for more than 2 weeks as Russia seeks to take control of the city, which would help secure a land corridor to the Crimea Peninsula that Moscow annexed from Ukraine in 2014. President Vladimir Putin calls the assault on Ukraine, which began on February 24, a special operation to demilitarize the country and root out people he terms dangerous nationalists. Western nations call it an aggressive war of choice and have imposed punishing sanctions aimed at crippling Russia's economy. Ukraine and its Western backers say Russian ground forces have made few advances in the last week, concentrating their efforts instead on artillery and missile strikes, often into urban centers. Ukrainian presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich said on Sunday there had been a relative lull over the past day, with practically no rocket strikes on Ukrainian cities. He added that front lines were practically frozen. The Mariupol bombardment has left buildings in rubble and severed central supplies of electricity, heating and water, according to local authorities. Rescue workers were still searching for survivors in a Mariupol theater that local authorities say was flattened by Russian airstrikes on Wednesday. Russia denies hitting the theater. Mariupol City Council also said Russian forces bombed a Mariupol art school on Saturday in which 400 residents were sheltering, but the number of casualties was not yet known. Reuters could not independently verify the claims. Russia denies targeting civilians. Zelensky said the siege of Mariupol was a war crime. To do this to a peaceful city is a terror that will be remembered for centuries to come, he said in a late-night broadcast. Still, he said, peace talks with Russia were needed, although they were not easy and pleasant. Missile strikes. Air raid sirens sounded across Ukrainian cities on Sunday, and Russia's defense ministry said cruise missiles were launched from ships in the Black Sea and Caspian Sea, as well as hypersonic missiles from Crimean airspace. The hypersonic missiles travel faster than 5 times the speed of sound, and their speed, maneuverability and altitude make them difficult to track and intercept. They were deployed by Russia for the first time in Ukraine on Saturday, Russia's Interfax news agency reported, in a strike which Moscow said destroyed a large underground depot for missiles and aircraft ammunition. A spokesperson for the Ukrainian Air Force Command confirmed the attack in the western Ivano-Frankivsk region, but said the Ukrainian side had no information on the type of missiles used. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk said 7 humanitarian corridors would open on Sunday to enable civilians to leave frontline areas. Ukraine has so far evacuated a total of 190,000 people from such areas, Vereshchuk said on Saturday. The UN Human Rights Office, UNHCR, said at least 902 civilians had been killed in Ukraine as of midnight Saturday, though it says the real toll is probably much higher. The Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office said 112 children had been killed. 10 million people have been displaced by the fighting, including nearly 3.4 million who have fled the country as refugees, the UNHCR said. Russian forces have also taken heavy losses, and long columns of troops that bore down on the capital Kyiv have been halted in the suburbs. Ukraine's military said on Sunday that Moscow's combat losses included 14,700 personnel and 476 tanks. Russia last acknowledged on March 2 that nearly 500 of its soldiers had been killed. Reuters has not been able to independently verify the death count. Zelensky's office said on Sunday Ukraine sees a high risk of an attack launched from Belarus on the western Volyn region, which lies to the north of the city of Lviv. It was not immediately clear whether Ukraine saw such an attack coming from Russian or from Belarusian forces. While Belarus is a close ally of Putin's and has served as a staging post for Russian forces, it has so far not publicly committed troops to supporting Russia. In Syria, some paramilitary fighters say they were ready to deploy to Ukraine to fight in support of their ally Russia, but have not yet received instructions to go. Zelensky, who has made frequent appeals for more help from abroad, was due to address the Israeli parliament via video link at 16 o'clock GMT. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has held numerous calls with both Putin and Zelensky in recent weeks to try to help resolve the conflict. Political talks. The foreign minister of Turkey, another country seeking to mediate, said Russia and Ukraine were getting closer to an agreement on critical issues and had nearly agreed on some subjects. Mevlut Cavusoglu also said he was hopeful for a ceasefire, the sides don't take a step back from the progress they have made toward an agreement. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Saturday that Moscow expected its operation in Ukraine to end with the signing of a comprehensive agreement on security issues, including Ukraine's neutral status, Interfax reported. Kyiv and Moscow reported some progress in talks last week toward a political formula that would guarantee Ukraine's security, while keeping it outside NATO, though each side accused the other of dragging things out. Zelensky has said Ukraine could accept international security guarantees that stopped short of its long-standing aim to join NATO. That prospect has been one of Russia's primary stated concerns.